Alright, hey guys, we're here to do a VOD review of White Lotus against Reign of Kings. This is game one, and yeah, let's just get going. So, I think the big thing to look at here is just a quick, well, we'll just do a quick rundown of comps. So, I think they outdrafted you guys here, and I'm pretty confident in saying that we're too close range to deal with the Orianna, Maokai, all that stuff. It's going to be a pain to get to their backline, the Kaisa, and then when you do, she moves around and all that, so that makes it difficult. The one thing we do have is the Rakan engage, so if we can use that properly, that's how we're going to end up winning this game. So let me just go ahead and skip right into it. Or I can fail at doing that. Okay, let's go into game.
Take it
Uh,
away.
I think the most annoying part of Scion is the E though.
I don't know. The E was definitely a super problem until they nerfed it 3 or 4 times. Now that the Q costs, I think, 40 mana at all ranks,
So the main
it's
problem with this
so
game is we
annoying.
just
You're
ended up
doing something, and then Sion's lifting
fighting
his
too
axe,
much,
and you're
as is
like,
the
well,
problem when we have poor
yeah,
games.
it's more interesting when you watch another top laner try to trade with him, and then he puts on, ooh,
Oh,
Theater, a nice dodge on that Q, and actually gets on top of him, gets a nice amount of damage on the Sion in return. Very nice play from Vader.
Maokai Scion counter confirmed.
That looked actually really good from Vader.
Yeah, so a
I'm
lot
just
of
going to let it run a little
people
bit, because this early game is a
Federico
little boring,
or
but we'll see.
Unsealed Spellbook on Rakan and also Spell Thieves to get a lot of early damage, especially when you're with a Zaya, because you guys level 2 realistically you guys should be going in, or even level 1 with the W synergy that they both have.
Right.
um but it's pretty interesting to actually see both coin and going guardian instead of going the unsealed spell book.
Yeah, I personally am a fan of Coin and Guardian on Rakan, and especially against the
I
Braum
don't know why
lane.
the Maokai went on
It's really
either. That
rough
was in the
against
middle of
Braum
a big
Kai'Sa
wave. He took a bunch of
because
minion damage
similar
for
to
that.
Braum Lucian, Kai'Sa is very good at quickly putting stacks down.
Oh
Ooh,
wait,
we're seeing
Fred.
this. A Jonas here.
Yeah, the
Freshman
early
actually
gank.
got out. Finds the hook shot. Doesn't find the stun.
Oh
Freshburger has
no.
nowhere to go. He's gonna
And
go
that
down for first blood.
Okay,
But
actually,
Vader
hang on.
actually
There's
flashed
something
out.
I remember I gotta talk
wait.
about.
Cancel sequence.
I'm gonna
That's
go
not
back a
quite
little bit.
paying enough. Roots him up and actually
Oh
takes him
my.
out, and they don't get the return. Sion's lifting his axe, and you're like, well.
A world that was.
Yeah, technical issue. We will be right back.
Yo, Ghost
Forgot
Portal
how
is
long it took for this game to get going.
For those of you just coming back to make sure you know where we are, we've got White Lotus versus Reign of Kings, Game 1. I'm Skyson. I'm joined by Animosity. We are getting
Woo.
in here and 3 or 4 times. Now that the Q costs, I think, 40 mana
I'm
at
just
all
looking for jungle
ranks,
routing a bit here.
it's so annoying. You're doing something, and then Sion is lifting his axe, and you're like,
Jesus, that was so close. That is really scary if you're on Reign of Kings instead of going the unsealed spell book.
yeah, I personally am a fan of Coin and Guardian on Rakan, and especially against the Braum lane. It's really rough against Braum Kai'Sa because similar to Braum Lucian, Kai'Sa
Actually,
is
well,
very
yeah.
good at quickly
I would say
putting
this is a
stacks
pretty
down.
typical time to
Ooh,
get
we're
ganked in
seeing
the
this.
top
A
lane,
Jonas here.
so we need to be a
Freshman
little more
actually got
careful
out.
of how we're
Finds
pushing
the
up
hook shot.
lanes,
Doesn't find the
especially
stun.
on red side
Freshburger has
in the
nowhere
top
to go.
lane.
He's gonna
And
go
that.
down for first blood, but Vader
This
actually
wasn't the
finds
game I
out
was
there.
thinking of when I
Low
was thinking
cancel
about the
sequence. That's not quite
pathing that
paying
the
enough.
Camille took.
Roots him up and actually
Oh
takes him out,
my.
and they don't get the return kill.
Jesus, that was so close. That is really scary.
But yeah, we just gotta watch those timings. 320 is a pretty
Very
common one
nice
for top lane,
stun.
or at least it used to be when I was playing
Definitely.
it, so
Well played.
just making sure we know that.
Unfortunately for Freshberger, I believe he did have it word. No, did he? Yeah, he did have
He
it worded, but
definitely did.
it was late. It was a very late reaction from him.
He was in the middle of doing stuff
But yeah,
with
we
it.
are
He
building
actually, I mean, he
up
got
leads
locked
pretty
up
much.
by
Well,
the
not
Maokai,
really. It's
and
pretty even
Maokai
so
was
far.
him. And while he was in the middle of being locked up by the Twisted Advance, he found himself getting yanked. He really didn't
Oh
have
yeah,
time to go anywhere.
I believe
Oh, we're seeing
Camille.
overreaction from here. We see the Rakan knock up. Kairos coming on the side. Asadeus on fire, trying to lock out of their belts or gets out of
Yeah,
the
that's a
battle.
good gank in the bottom lane. Get both
Yeah.
flashes, so we definitely want to,
With barely any
abuse that when we can.
Any is more than zero.
I mean, to be honest, with Nunu, you can just push this in and take
Wait,
Dragon.
wait. I actually think did Camille hit?
Maybe not.
Yeah,
They're
Camille
still
did hit.
Camille
high
did
enough on
not.
health to challenge you.
No, the blast plant to get over. That's why.
Oh,
The
yeah.
react.
Pretty much as soon as you see Camille, you should stop this. Oh, you didn't see her on the ward. The ward expired.
Oh,
That's
and here
too
she
bad.
comes
Yep,
in.
the Jot's coming for the return.
But yeah, if this ward had seen the Camille, you guys could have just rotated onto the dragon there.
Has the flash, finds the flash
Oh.
sweep and the auto attack. Takes him out of dot.
Yeah.
Fresh Bird goes down for the second time.
So Freshburger is definitely getting the direst treatment this game.
Reign of Kings are definitely working to capitalize here.
Honestly,
This is
Reign of
what they-
Kings is doing.
And really, this
Flash W from Daedric.
this gank isn't, or the ganking top lane isn't too big of an issue for you guys.
Final shot. Belzar trying to get in there, finds the ignite, looking for the fourth auto. Doesn't quite find it. Would have probably got the kill there.
So Reign of Kings are like
Alright, so you guys know that all 4 summoners are down bottom lane. Well, on both sides, unfortunately.
good plays all around the map. Unfortunately for White Lotus, they
But still, that's
couldn't
good to know,
double kill,
especially
and
with your
they couldn't
comp.
get a kill in that double flash engage.
Ooh,
But-
White Fuji goes in, has level 6, finds the dive, finds the Q, the auto, the ult.
Oh, but wait.
The barrier's gonna come through, he flashes it again!
No.
He takes the kill. Flash.
I'm not going to say too much about that. That was just a little bit silly.
Saying that Fuji's a very aggressive player. We can see right there.
Right.
He went for a really aggressive play right there. Unfortunately, he could not capitalize, and now it's 3-0 for Reign of Kings.
So again, we're just kind of, shooting ourselves in the foot with this game. We're getting too aggressive.
What do you think's gonna happen now? Just by these 5 minutes.
Yeah. It's fine to be pushing in this top wave. We just got to remember that we need jungle support, because Maokai is very easy to assist ganks with, especially for someone like Camille who can do all the damage. She doesn't need too much help from the Maokai in that regard. So while we're still scaling up on the Scion in terms of tankiness, we need to either support him against that duo, or I guess just to accept what's happening, or maybe just not push as hard.
Dot is putting it completely on display and doing absolutely great work in this top lane to get Vader up here. And as for the mid lane, I mean, I talked about that too. Fuji definitely the player that will look for the plays and look for the early aggressive kills. Even if he knew it was going to cost his life, he went into for that tower. Unique, very great presence of mind to wait for that second ultimate and force him into get the flash for the last auto. Gets away from him in time to find the kill of his own and not go down. Very nicely done, as we see the very deadly red buff is going to take a Jot out there.
we all know
Did
how
not win that
deadly it
PvE fight.
after Double F died back when he first went into TL. So another thing is like first of all, I'm actually really surprised that that Ayat, I don't even know how to pronounce that. The Camille's actually basically have the same clear speed as
Ooh, Vader's gonna
Vader.
go for the ultimate here. Doesn't quite find the follow-up that he's looking for.
Oh,
Snowball's gonna come through and knock up Unique as he gets away.
Fuji's really
I believe that was the Oriana ultimate used on Fuji. Trying to get the solo kill there.
Freshburger is in a really dangerous position.
Yeah, this is rough. Vader has enough mana to really get all that done here.
Yeah, but
Yeah, the one thing that this big push in the top lane is accomplishing is getting that CS lead, which is nice. So even though you've died twice already, you've got that lead,
well,
which is cool, but it's about even after the kill and assist come in.
Very important objective, and in my opinion, it's like.
So if we can find a way to do that pushing strategy without dying like that, then I think we'll be in really good shape there.
Yeah, depending
yeah,
on the
most people would
situation,
say
it
it's
might
like
be
in-
the best.
Most people would say it's basically Inferno.
Yeah, at this point we're starting to accumulate leads everywhere now,
Favorite after that.
in terms of CS anyways.
Cloud.
I love Cloud. I love movement speed. I am an advocate for movement speed in all games, all RPGs, all forms of everything. I love movement speed. I love going fast. So.
I think you can be a little more patient on those Qs when Maokai slides into you there.
Yeah, people say cloud.
You definitely still have some time to hold that.
We're seeing a snowball come through here into Balthazar. He's level 5. He blocks it up so it doesn't get past him, but it wasn't going to go past him anyway. There gets a stave him off.
But yeah, because if you hold that Q, then you force the Maokai to Q you in order to disrupt it, which is going to have, it's going to mess up his mana resources essentially, because burning W and Q every time you burn a Q, or every time his W's up anyways, is really hard on Maokai's mana.
For the dragon, they right now, I believe Reign of Kings has no vision on it. Other than like speculation, like wait, their ball lane's rotating up. Are they gonna do dragon? Are they doing dragon? And
Ooh, Fuji goes in, finds the Q ultimate combo. Finds a nice bit of damage there. Finds another Q ult, finds the ignite, but the barrier's gonna come out from Unique again. Finds another ultimate, the auto attack. That's there. He's looking done as the ultimate. Fuji got nice.
You're so lucky you got away there. That prom just got completely lost.
Yeah, as I was saying that, they didn't know about it. They only had speculations, and obviously after seeing that pink ward, they obviously knew they were on it, but couldn't contest because Nunu.
Yeah, that's a good take on the dragon with all that pressure in the mid lane there.
Part of the map, so that's a free dragon for them.
Yeah, definitely the good turnaround. And you see, despite the 3-kill lead, we're seeing White Lotus really bring the.
Fuji. Fuji's in a. Oh no.
John finds the flash, finds the ultimate, and Fuji is going to go down. Gets the shield, not quite in time for the assist, but it's enough.
Not a whole lot you can do there. He burned his flash to get you, so.
White Lotus sitting on the O2.
So, you're White Lotus right now. You're against this team that you thought you were going to work against. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I'm like I was about to say before we got into that, we're looking at the way things are going, and I mean, you look across the board, no one on White Lotus is losing in CS right now. You actually see Freshburger's established an almost 30 CS lead, despite being 2 deaths down. So White Lotus are still, even though they're down kills right now, they're still playing their game. They are definitely farming out the lane, doing what they can. Fuji is of course going a little bit aggressive, of course, but you're still seeing we're seeing another gank here. Not even interested. Freshburger is going to ult out of that. Vader's going to chase him down. Gets the lockup, and Ajat's going to come back up here, but I don't think they're going to go for it.
This is a miscommunication on the enemy's part here. Like, they could have been doing this a long time ago, to be honest.
Here comes the Maokai ultimate. Finds a tactical sweep, so he's going to get locked up here. But Nunu's here. Looking to do a little more.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you guys don't ever win this 2v2. Not with the Camille having 2 kills already.
Let's see. They're behind 9k gold right now. Or not 9k, my bad. 900.
Again.
They're behind 900 gold right now. 800 roughly.
Right.
And let's see. Rift Herald's up. Camille's currently invading, even though she has no mid pressure and no top pressure, which can be really
what this Camille's doing is very risky.
Sound can follow up faster than.
But you guys don't see it, so you can't punish it.
But Nunu's gonna walk up and gonna try and go for a gank.
Nunu's on the side here. Vader's gonna throw to the bush.
No.
This is kind of strange positioning here, but.
Here though. Ajat's gonna find the hook shot. Goes into the snowball. Doesn't quite find it. Tactical sweep's gonna go through. Doesn't have the ultimate available right now. The Nunu, the absolute zero, but Unique's here. Finds the ultimate and throws him off. They're gonna find the kill on Kairos.
And that's 5 kills.
Shot goes into the snowball.
Maokai. But Nunu's gonna walk up and gonna try and go for a gank.
Nunu's on the side here. Vader's gonna throw to the bush.
So you guys might need to remember, yeah. Okay, stop here.
Here though. Ajat's gonna find.
So you guys need to remember that Orianna is almost always going to have push priority on Diana, or it seems like she should. In this case, she actually doesn't, and she leaves first, which is odd. So at this point, it should be communicated that Orianna is almost certainly running top lane, and that this fight is not going to go well because Diana can't go through river. So she has a much longer path than the Orianna does to this fight. And that's, I mean, that's pretty much. Because if Diana gets here first, this fight is absolutely won. Or even if she just stalls Orianna.
Throws him off. They're gonna find the kill on Kairos.
And that's 5 kills to nothing. They're almost.
So yep, we're at a pretty early deficit, as is common for us. But
They are 1 kill.
yeah, it's not terrible. Only 1,000 down is not too bad, especially considering we have 5 deaths.
Out-rotated right now. Like, really hard.
He's right, you are getting out-rotated.
Right now, Jat is actually, like, really showing up in every play.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Jat is definitely bringing the Camille jungle. We saw 3 bans targeted at him, and he still found another pick to go through here. And really showing off his flexibility as a jungler on these, early aggressive parry-type junglers, definitely showing himself to be a major force here.
So at this point, our big thing... Okay, this goes really well because they disrespect Xayah damage.
Wait, Fuji.
Ignite's gonna come through. Fuji's gonna dive right in there, gets ignited, gets queued up for the slow, but Ajat's here. No, he misses the hook shot. Tries to find damage. He's in the middle of the floor right now.
Bad for them.
Ajat's trying to get out. He goes for the ultimate to lock himself in the cage. Doesn't quite have the time. He's rooted up, and another kill goes right into Ethereal's pocket.
Yep. So there's the game. We now have the lead. Good job. I was gonna say the thing you need to do to find this lead is just to find a good fight, and yeah.
And that put so much.
enemy team just over-aggressed on you guys, and you punished it, so good job.
And especially, it's so good on Zaya. Now
But the
she
other thing you could have
instantly
done is
got
potentially send your
super
jungler into the top
infantry
lane there.
and
There's
brought
not
in
much...
the
Well,
biggest
no.
driver. And
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how low that turret is. That's the important part.
Very rich pickup for Ethereal for sure.
one, she herself is 1k, 1k ahead of the Kaisa.
You could potentially send your jungler into the mid lane,
Yeah, they immediately put themselves in a position to, and this is
and as the way to get back into the game before that fight.
for the White Lotus squad. No matter what's happening, the snowball's coming through. Doesn't quite find her.
What was the name of that? It was like super funny. It's like world's biggest, no, the biggest
think it's
snowball
the
ever.
Yeah, pretty sure
There's some-
it's the biggest snowball ever. Yes.
With an exclamation mark.
With
And
an
we see it right there.
I like this rotation to put your bottom lane in the top lane, and then put Sion bottom, because Sion doesn't care, you can farm that anyways.
Jot finding the stun. Fuji doesn't find the Q, but he
no.
needs to miss the ultimate. But I think Jot has the damage here. The tactical sweep finds the kill. Fuji's gonna find his third death of the game.
So yeah, right now, ever.
Yeah, pretty sure
There's
it's
some... Jesus.
very rich pickup for.
Let's watch this Camille's pathing, and watch how many wards she walks through before she kills Fuji.
1k ahead of the Kaisa. So...
Yeah, they immediately put themselves in a position to, and this happens so often for the White Lotus squad. No matter what's happening, the snowball's coming through. Doesn't quite find her.
Alright, so you see Braum,
What was the name of that? It was like super funny.
you see Camille,
The biggest snowball ever.
Yeah, pretty sure it's the biggest snowball ever. Yes.
With an exclamation.
you've seen both of them walking towards mid, and you're still gonna die to it. You might even see her again here. No, you don't. That's a Scuttle Ward. But still, you saw two people in mid, and yeah, you gotta be careful about that.
Finds the kill. Fuji's gonna find his third death of the game.
So yeah, right now Jat's playing.
So what you guys can do is leave someone in support here until you see the Camille show up again, because you do have a fair amount of deep wards. Because you know, once she's past this ward, she's going to be in this she's in this area because she hasn't passed through mid lane. She hasn't passed by this ward, so she's going to be sitting in this area here, which means that you need to have someone here to defend your mid laner.
I don't think that's possible, really, because you Sion. You put a tank behind.
Yeah, you guys actually do have pretty good vision surrounding that, so you know exactly where what pocket she's in, and she's somewhere in here.
This is something else that's pretty interesting. Diane actually went for a. Oh wait.
Jot looking for finds the cage onto Ethereal. There's the Q. The feathers fly. Has nowhere to go. But it might find enough damage. Jot finds the tactical sweep kill. But here comes the snowball. Finds the knockup. Not in time. And he takes the kill on Ethereal. Looks for more. They get it. Fuji's here.
We're just funneling in. If I remember, we end up winning this fight though, because look at this guy.
Vader's in the middle. They're trying to get the kill on Fuji. He gets the shield. Not enough. And might find enough damage. Jot finds
I want you guys to laugh at this. Watch the Camille in this fight.
Not in time. He takes the kill on Ethereal. Looks for more. They get it. Fuji's here. Fuji looking for the damage. Takes down Balthazar. Here comes
Camille's probably one of their strongest people in this game right now. He's literally walking in circles while you guys are fighting this.
And that is
like, yeah, they probably don't win if he goes in, just because of the poor positioning on their team fight. But they also didn't have their Kaisa there.
So that was pretty fun. White Lotus right now is back on the driver's seat after being behind for like the first half of the game. Right now.
Yep, and strong dragon control. That's what you guys need out of Nunu.
Going for them, and that's a lot of damage.
Oh, that's double Mountain Drake. Oh lord. Yeah, this is definitely. It turns out that way when Reign of Kings loses out on these fights, that immediately transition to objectives for White Lotus.
They're also right about this. You guys are doing a good job of winning fights and taking things with it.
Puts a timer on them and really forces them into a position where they can't lose these fights because a lot.
They finally clear out that pink ward. They've had like 5 people walk past it.
That they have. I mean, on top of double Mountain Drake, they have Zaya Rakan, who, on top of having that lane synergy, having those interactions, those skills, they burn down towers very quickly. With Rakan gaining the clean cuts passive from Zaya, and both of those burning down towers on the
You guys will have to let me know, is not distributing your blue buff to Diana, like, is that a choice that you guys are making, or is it just kind of happening because it's there and Diana's not?
20% damage for objectives, towers, and and neutral camp.
I noticed that a couple times from you there, Kairos, is you've taken a
Yeah.
few later blue buffs than I would have
And
expected.
especially with having the
So if those are
Gideon,
conscious choices that
they
you know
can
the
get
team
the
is making,
win
that's cool
there
too. But
and carry.
I'm
Think
just
about
curious
it.
what's going on there.
Like really quickly. Um.
We're gonna see
Oh
Renegade
yeah.
Kings around the Rift out here.
They might
Don't
be a
fight for
little
this.
too
If you guys
close.
fight for this, you're gonna feed.
Oh wait.
Ooh,
No,
Ethereal on the
fear.
side gets locked up in the cage. Vader finds the snare, and nobody's gonna get to him in
Yep.
time, and he goes, disappears. Puts the kill into Asadea's pocket.
All 5 of them are there. Like, why even approach it?
Daydream's tried right there. Unfortunate. But now, they have the Rift Herald. It's gonna be another gank to Fuji. Oh my
We see
god.
Fuji there. On
Yeah, that
top
guy
of
just
that,
completely
gets the kill,
disrespecting
not
Diana
enough
damage.
damage. The power of the Sword Shoes Nashers gets in there.
Oh wait, Daydream.
Daydreams pops a stopwatch, but I think they're ready. He finds the flash, finds the knockup. They're spending everything to get him out of there, and they're gonna find the kill on the Daydreams now.
Jesus. Wait, now that
Yeah, also Daydreams, you gotta not be there. They got 2 there. Your support like doesn't have wave clear.
63, 64
Just leave it.
do you
It's
think
not
he's
an
actually
issue.
gonna manage a Flame Horizon here? A total of 100.
Unless you've got support immediately coming, then don't even worry about it.
We see Vader committing a lot to team fights, doing a lot to be the one to, especially following up on a lot of Ajat's Camille ultimates.
I like the double side lane, or the, well, I guess it's mid lane and bottom lane in this case. That pressure. Like, I think you guys are doing a great job of pushing in all your lanes this game, and that's why you have such good, like, CS leads, and, I mean, really, it's just in the top lane, but it's why you guys are still in this game. It's why they're not getting objectives off of kills, is because they're pushed into their territory constantly, which is fine. I actually really like that style of where you kind of push everything constantly, and it's, the goal is just to, you know, pressure them to make a decision and where to allocate their resources. But if that's something you guys want to continue to do, we can talk more about that and how to, you know, avoid ganks, because we definitely struggled with that in the early game, especially in the top lane. So you can play that style. It's definitely a bit riskier, but it's also a great way to establish leads when you have 3 winning lanes.
Looking for pings going down all around the map here. Looking for just, you know, some more top lane back and forth action. We all love that. I don't actually love that much, but
Yeah. Now that Baron's up, you have 2 Mountain Drakes.
Your board coverage has actually been pretty decent this game. I'm looking at this and you can see any gank paths coming at the Scion. That's perfect. That's what you want when you're split pushing. Diana feels safe from this side as well. Feels relatively safe from this side. They're not quite as deep. If you could get a ward, like here, get rid of that pink, maybe you can get a ward here, that would be perfect. I'd be so happy if that happened.
Junior still has the ability in this queue, so they will definitely burn down a Baron if they, you know, very cleanly win a fight of theirs. And we see Ajat finding the damage on Kairos, but doesn't get locked up in the absolute zero. Flashes out of there, still takes a bunch of damage. Bells are there to block up any follow-up.
And not really much gonna happen after that. It's gonna be a flash.
We see a snowball here in the top lane, getting it blocked off.
World's biggest snowball.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you've seen 3. You know the Oriana's rotating up, or at least you can assume it. You see the Maokai in the mid lane. This is super greedy, trying to get that turret.
Yeah, but realistically, while this is happening, look at
Yeah, you've now lost vision of Maokai. Oh, I know, you have vision, but now you've lost vision of him.
He does have the TP.
Like, continuing to try and get this turret is really greedy.
So, that's gonna guarantee.
Because right now you have no idea where Maokai's going. He could be going bot, he could be going top. If he goes top, you pretty much guaranteed lose this 4v5.
They might look for something. The hookshot comes through, the flash comes out, but they're on the backside. Fuji finds the kill on Asadeus before anything happens. But here comes
Yeah, this is just dumb by the enemy team. They know Diana's here, they don't know where. They push into you guys, Diana kills the AD carry.
Fuji finds another kill.
And that could be Baron.
They're also completely lacking pretty much any tank stats. Like, Braum has his shield, that's it. They don't have, he's not tanky yet on his own. So, really, they just fed it, they just inted into you. There.
Take out the minions there so he doesn't lose too much, but
Yeah, as I was saying, look at the Baron.
So you guys have all your power picks there.
fastest Baron in the world, but you know, definitely pretty fast for a 22.5 minute Baron.
Mm-hmm.
They will most likely get that without any competition.
So just a quick discussion of that fight, and something that you guys can apply in your games is one thing you have to be careful of is the burst damage and where the burst damage is. If you don't see the burst damage and you know it's nearby, you need to find where that is. So in that case for them, it's the Diana. Because if that burst damage surprises you and kills one of your people, then you're just at an instant disadvantage in the fight. So you need to understand where that is and be able to defend against it.
The early game of was just like a fever dream from.
So if you've got something like Oriana waiting and looking for the shield, then that works out. But it's just you got to watch for those things, and they obviously weren't, and they lost the fight because of it.
They did it. They have the most important dragon. Wind beats, rock beats flying, but
Honestly, I'm surprised you killed him from full with that build. Just the Nashor's Tooth, pretty much.
What I will say is we definitely see a lot of White Lotus games where teams will gain an early lead, and we find the early kills on these solo laners. Relatively, it happens. And the problem is that White Lotus has, bands together so well as a team that they're able to, mitigate their losses. They don't give up objectives early, and they keep their farm consistent, keep it ahead in some cases. And we're going to see Fresh Burger on top of a dot here. I don't think he's able to fight that Scion, but he's going to hook shot out of there. He is not wanting any of that Scion.
Well, he can't fight the Scion in the middle of a wave and a half of Baron minions.
Scion can tank more than he can, so... that's gonna be it for that nonsense. Now they're Reign of Kings is actually setting up.
Honestly, other than the early game troubles, this game has been relatively clean. Like it's like there's been troubles for sure, but other than some boneheaded decisions in the early game, and just getting a few ganks off that hopefully shouldn't have happened, then yeah, not a terrible game to be honest.
Yeah, he was proxying.
I understand. He was definitely proxying. Daydreams has the ultimate available, finds the W, knocks up the Maokai, gets the Oriana shield, but I don't think it's enough. Oriana also finds two, but it's too late. They're coming through.
Yeah, it was a good fight. Great engage by Daydreams there. I like the patience not to just W immediately after popping ult.
Than actually doing anything.
It looked really nice, but I think too much damage had been done to the rest of the team before it really got to, have a power.
You guys need to leave at this point. They still have all 5. And they just got to base and heal.
They can probably go to top, and if they do have Baron empowered minions.
Yeah, without the threat of the Brahmori ultimate and having the Baron. Oh no! They're gonna come in there. They're looking for more. That's just people pouring on top of Josh, trying to get in. Finds Ethereal on the side, gets the cage up, has the protection from the recon, but it's not enough. He actually goes down. Ethereal's down, and Reign of Kings is pushing here. A Jot finds another stun. A Jot and a
yeah, this is just a classic overstay. So you killed no one at this fight. You got the inhib. That's a huge win. Huge win. You got the inhib for nothing. So I would say just back up here. Because what happens when you don't kill anyone is they get to back and spend all their gold. And this game isn't that far apart. So they're coming back into the fight with full health, full items. They're at their strongest at the moment.
Technically, it was something. They can probably go to top, and if they do have...
And starting this fight, we've got Fuji at about 60%, we've got Kairos at 60%, Ethereal at half, Daydreams at about 90, and Freshburger at 85. Another thing to note is that your AD carry has half mana, which it's going to be enough for the full rotation, so it's not too big of an issue. You just need to keep an eye on it. You also don't have heal, you don't have flash on Diana, no flash on Nunu. So this fight is just greedy because we're lower on health than we want to be going into this fight. Especially because look at they're returning from base, basically full. I'll give them 90% since I said that on you. 95, 100, 100, 100. So. Yeah, let's not play with fire there. Essentially, is what I'm saying.
But it's too late. They're coming through. They find tower after tower on the sides here.
Is it me, or was that Oriana aesthetically pleasing that night?
I want to see what items are completed on this back. Okay. So they finish the Merlinomicon. They get a Kindle Gem. They get a little more AD. So yeah, they actually got quite a bit stronger with that Merlinomicon buy. So yeah, this is greedy. I think you're just trying to do too much with this Baron, and you can take it slower. You've still got like 45 seconds on it, something like that. I don't remember how long it actually lasts completely. We've got a quarter of it left.
Gets the cage up, has the protection from the recon, but it's not enough. He actually goes down. Ethereal's down, and Raider King's pushing here. A Jot finds another stun. A Jot and a...
So yeah, I mean, I think that was the big thing with our games against Reign of Kings yesterday, is that we just overstayed way too often. We got too greedy when we took leads. And I think that's partially disrespect to them, and partially just overconfidence on ourselves there.
Towers don't respawn, you know.
I'm honestly surprised they gave up that turret pretty much for free.
Incredible there was a Jot managing to snake his way through the back of that team fight and get on top of Ethereal.
So I think your goal here is to get this bottom turret, this one here. So I think you put 4 in the top lane, and then you put your Scion in the bottom lane. Because Maokai doesn't have enough wave clear to keep him off of it, especially if he still has Baron running, which he doesn't at this point because you all died. But had you not died, you could just back off here, spend all your gold, send 4 top, 1 bottom. You get like a couple waves of pushing. It should be enough to get this turret. You probably don't get this one, to be fair. But I don't think they should have given you this one in the first place.
But I would still count that as a sign of life for Reign of Kings. They definitely...
And it looks like you guys are doing the 4-1, which is good.
Something they can do in fights now, at least. They have a clear goal in team fights now. If we can get to Ethereal, if we can make them throw all of their forces at us, and we can find a way to get back to Ethereal before they blow up the rest of our team, then we can get ahead in the fight.
Yeah, definitely. And now there are no objectives in the map other than towers. So we're just gonna see a 4-1 push right now because mid lane is always getting contested. We're gonna see a 4-1 push from this side by Lotus here, and I don't think Reign of Kings actually have a feasible way of like stopping this push right now.
Yeah, I don't think this is gonna happen.
Yeah, they're gonna go. They're just gonna go for that free inhib.
That is a lot of beef for that new, but he's gonna get hit up a little bit. Unique is a pretty respectable man.
And as soon as that teleport finishes, you get that turret, and then you just keep the pressure here. So, like, you guys are playing this 4-1 pretty well, especially since you backed out when the TP came in. And he should have actually cancelled that, probably. Well, no, I would have finished it.
Ooh, here comes the Maokai ultimate. They're looking for Fuji here. He gets rooted up. He goes for the hourglass.
Why? Why are we here?
He might be in a bad spot. He flashes away, looks for the kill, but he's gonna get taken out here. He's gonna disappear, but here comes Maokai ultimate. They're looking
to actually have a feasible way of like.
So let's look at our positioning again for this fight.
Yeah, I don't think this is gonna happen.
Yeah, they're gonna go. They're just gonna go for that free inhib.
That is a lot of beef for that new, but he's gonna get hit up a little bit. Unique does a pretty respectable amount of damage here. A Jot looking for the shot, but he's gonna back out. Yeah, Freshberg's gonna take this tower here.
Look at him hitting that tower like a boss.
He's throwing all of his bulkiness into it.
Might into that hammer.
Okay, so let's look at this positioning. You know that they have all 5 pretty much in this area here. So you guys only have 4. Your Scion's in the bottom lane still. What are the biggest threats to your engage, or to get engaged on? You have Braum ult, and you have Maokai ult, or you have Maokai like flash Wing with ball on him, which are all viable at this point. The Rakan is safe because he has the retreat path in the Xayah here. The Diana is absolutely not safe because if Maokai just fires his ult this way, you have nowhere to go, and your team can't get hit by it because they'll all die too. Because you guys are having no tank stats in this area. You have your Nunu up here, but he's not in an immediate position to help out. So pushing this far onto the inhib is absolutely a mistake, and it definitely costs you guys here.
Ooh, here comes the Maokai ultimate. They're looking for Fuji here. He gets rooted up. He goes for the hourglass. He might be in a bad spot. He flashes away, looks for the kill, but he's gonna get taken out here. He's gonna disappear, but here comes the Nuno ultimate. Doesn't have the damage. They're looking for a kill, but Ethereal's in the back now. Ethereal putting out way too much damage. Nobody
You guys end up winning this, I think, this fight, but...
they're turning around. Unique finds the kill.
Oh, maybe not. No, never mind.
Kai was trying to sit on the inhib here, trying to get it. Freshberg's on turn on, finds the kill on the Unique.
I appreciate that Oriana just dying for you. That's cool.
And there, Freshberger isn't gonna get it. He gets it.
Yeah, okay, we still get in hit, which is honestly crazy. That fight started off so badly, and I'm surprised Fuji lasted as long as he did. But, you know, sometimes stuff happens like that. Either way, even though we end up getting our objective there, that was absolutely a mistake, and not a situation we should have gotten ourselves into.
So, if White Lotus gets that, that's a triple match.
Because we traded 5 lives for 1 or 2, and an inhib. It's not really worth it. It's kind of nice, but yeah. If it was the bot lane inhib, I would have said yes because the Baron's coming up.
That's and that's gonna be triple mountain drake.
And even so, I have a hard time like saying that that's good. But since we had so much of a gold lead, it could be worth it if it was the bottom inhib. But with top, I don't really think it is.
Yeah, I was saying, no matter how much of a fight they're really able to do, if they keep getting into this fight cycle where they give an objective to White Lotus and then kill them, and they don't have, you know, they don't have the ability to get anything. They're not getting much other than a bunch of gold off of these kills. So we're either going to see a point where Reign of Kings keeps winning these fights and eventually gets to the point where they can get something off of it because they haven't lost, you know, so many forces from losing fights. But the problem is they have so little to work with right now on their end that they can't afford to really give White Lotus an inch. They have to fight them when they're approaching for an objective. And if they don't, if they're not cleanly winning these fights, and if, I mean, they're winning fights with like 2 or 3 people left over that don't have the ability to push because they've been pushed in beforehand, then they're still not going to get anything out of it. And it's really White Lotus.
Again, I like the position of just doing a 4-1 here. That's good.
Close out the game.
Now, you guys absolutely do not want to do the Baron here. You don't want to start it. All you want to do is keep these 5 people's attention, and this is a little aggressive positioning.
Yeah, so this is razor edge right now.
This is really
Because that Maokai does have flash. He could engage this anytime he wanted to. And they lost their chance because of that top lane now. So, this is a free Baron.
Hopefully.
I don't want to see a Scion backdoor to end the game. That'd be ugly.
Yeah, they're just
So, yep, now you guys can do the Baron because you see people show up on your minimap. So, now it's free. Yay.
They're gonna go in for the Baron here.
Again, I don't necessarily think that was you guys playing well. I think that was absolutely a mistake on their part.
But it's not gonna let it happen.
Yeah, he just runs out.
Because they had the opportunity to engage on you because of your aggressive positioning, and they didn't take it.
So,
When they should have.
a lot of
Because they had 5. It was a 5v4.
really bad. What's happening right now is really bad.
Because effectively what they're doing here is just rolling over and dying.
I believe this is going to be that Baron is going to be endgame.
Yeah, this is gonna be really rough unless we see something extremely clean come out from the side of the team.
So yeah, you guys are playing this right. You're being patient here while you wait for this top wave to push.
We're most likely gonna see this last tower go down.
And yeah, I would actually put Scion in the mid lane here, and then put the 4 in the bottom lane.
Behind the Maokai ultimate, they're looking here. It's gonna find the snare on to 2. Creator's looking. Finds
Yeah,
the top
that's so
sweet.
sweet.
He's getting burned down right now. There is nothing he can do. He finds the heal, but
Yeah, I mean, even though you guys are winning this, I don't think this is correct. So your Diana is not in the fight. She's going to end up taking inhib. But even just leaving those baroned up minions there, and then coming down and fighting is probably more correct. The reason I want Scion in the mid lane is because he can use his ult to come down to this fight if he needs to. And then, yeah, you guys just, 4-1, and then you have the minions pushing the top lane. So, I think I like that setup a little bit better. It's up for arguments, really, but at least in my opinion, I think that's correct.
it's not enough. The Sign ultimate finds 3. Maokai can't stay alive for the Ori ultimate finds 2. Pulls the 3 into the front, but he has the ultimate. Fuji's coming on the back
Yep,
down.
and here comes Fuji. Fight's over.
They do not do enough damage here.
And you guys win, I assume. If you don't win off of this, I'll be a little sad.
White Lotus are going to take the fight, take the game, and that is a solid
That
win.
is it. for
Game
game
one,
number 1.
going to
White Lotus versus Reign of Kings. White.
So that game, I think you guys actually played that how you guys wanted to play the game. It was a little dirty in the early game, so we'll have to, as always, we need to focus on that. It's pretty much just, I think our biggest problem this game was positioning. When I go back and think about it, having the Scion, pushed up at 320 or whatever. Just be careful of those common gank times and things like that. So in general, like most of our deaths were just by getting caught by random things, and just being in the wrong spots. So, Scion here, I'm going to keep harping on it a little bit. This fight here where you guys pushed in and tried to get the inhib while they were at full health after basing, mispositioned. Trying to think what else. This little gank here where Fuji got killed by the Camille when you knew she was in the area. It's pretty much just taking the information we know and making sure we understand what they want to do. So Camille's in this area, she wants to gank mid probably. There's no camps up. You're taking an inhib, what are they going to want to do? They're going to want to fight you for it. And they're at full health and full mana because they just backed and they just bought items, so what do they want to do? They want to fight you. It's things like that we just need to recognize a little better and, understanding what the enemy team wants to do so that we can avoid that. So maybe in your games, make the effort to make sure that you know what the enemy wants to do and how you play around that. So if you're playing against a team that's, a heavy pick comp, which is a pretty simple example, they want to get wards up around objectives and then they want to kill people wandering into them. So how do you fight that? You play the vision control game. Same as they want to do, you just play it better. You get there ahead of time, or you stack up in groups, so that if they try and pick you, hopefully they end up pulling a tank or something, then you have all five there to team fight. So you guys end up playing this well. I think the big turning point was this top fight where Fuji just kills that AD carry, and then you're allowed to clean up the fight because they have no more damage. So yeah, I don't necessarily think that was you guys playing well. I think it was a mistake on their part, which you punished well. So yeah, even though we definitely had our weak points in this game, I didn't think this game was that bad. I know the next one's a bit of a clown fiesta, and we'll go over that one in person. So, yeah, not too bad. I'll give you that one. This game wasn't too bad. Not very clean, but could have been a lot worse. Alright, thanks for watching. Talk to you guys later.